Hey there, my friend. You know how sometimes you pick up a book and it's just another fluffy self-help guide telling you to manifest your dreams and find your inner peace? Well, let me tell you, I just devoured a book that is not that at all. I'm talking about David Goggins' never finished Unshackle Your Mind and Win the War Within. And honestly, after reading it, I feel like I've just been through a mental boot camp and I kind of want to punch a wall in a good way. I picked this book up because, let's be real, Goggins is a legend. You see snippets of his insane physical feats online. But I wanted to understand the mindset behind it all, and let me tell you, this book delivers. It's less of a gentle nudge towards self-improvement and more of a what the fuck are you doing with your life wake-up call. He explicitly states, this is not a self-help book. Nobody needs another sermon about the 10 steps or 7 stages or 16 hours a week that will deliver them from their stalled or fucked up life. Instead, he offers a raw, unfiltered look at how he literally rewired his heart, mind, and soul to evolve. So what's it all about? At its core, Never Finished is Goggins' philosophy on self-mastery as an unending process. He argues that our horizons are constantly limited, not just by society but mostly by ourselves. His mission for us, the readers, is to fight through that resistance, seek unknown territory, and redefine what's possible. And he doesn't just theorize, he's a practitioner, testing his philosophy in his own mental lab through countless failures and feats. One of the first concepts that really hit me, and it's something he revisits often, is the idea of belief. He tells this wild story about a scientist in the 1950s. Dr. Kurt Richter, who did experiments with rats in cylinders of water. The first rats gave up and drowned quickly. But then Richter tweaked the test. He'd scoop out the rats just before they gave up, told them off, let their heart rates normalize, and then put them back in. And get this, those rats, after being saved a few times, would then swim for 60 hours straight without food or rest, one even for 81 hours. Most people interpret this as the power of hope, but Goggins adamantly disagrees. He says hope isn't what got into those rats. They needed something a lot stronger to keep them breathing, kicking, and fighting. The way I see it, belief is what turned ordinary lab rats into marine mammals. He talks about 2 levels of belief, the flimsy surface level kind people preach, and then the belief born in resilience. That deep, unwavering certainty that comes from pushing through layers of pain and fatigue until you tap into a fuel source you never knew existed, and he's living proof of this. He wasn't born a winner. He says he was born a loser. He had holes in his heart, sickle cell trait, and a childhood tormented by toxic stress and learning disabilities. By 24, he was a 300-pound exterminator making $1.00 a month. He emphasizes that his accomplishments do not equate to his initial potential. He had to maximize minimal potential. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for Goggins, but what about my messed up past? And that's where he introduces the idea of distracting injuries. He talks about how his childhood abuse, neglect, and racist taunts were his distracting injuries, keeping him from seeing things he could control. He went on a trip to confront his abusive father, hoping to find answers and blame, but what he realized was crucial. Travis was flawed, alright, but he wasn't my flaw. The second voice was right. Unless I took responsibility for my demons, the ones he put on me, I had no shot at becoming anything other than a perpetual loser or another miserable hustler like him. It's that brutal truth. It might not be your fault you got dealt a bad hand, but it is your responsibility to take control of your future. You have to cut away that dead weight of the past. He has this insane concept he calls the mixtape. Instead of just ignoring negative comments or experiences, he wants you to never waste a fucking thing. He takes every slight, every hateful comment, every bit of trauma, records it, and then loops that bitch. He says there's more fuel in hate and criticism than in ass-kissing, attaboys, and accolades. It's about training your mind to find energy in adversity, to transform fear and trauma into confidence. So how do you build this unshakable mindset? He calls it building your mental lab. It's a place where you get alone with your thoughts, dissect your insecurities, and essentially create an alter ego. For him, David Goggins was the scared kid, but Goggins was the savage motherfucker who refused to be denied and accomplished all the hard shit. He says we all have this lab, but most people keep it locked. He also talks about the danger of complacency. After his first book's success and a hard scare, he noticed he was softening up, becoming a part-time savage. Success and comfort can make you satisfied, and satisfaction is a hop step from complacency. His struggle with this, deciding whether to run the legal 100-mile race after a medical setback, really highlights it. He realized his cookie jar, a mental storehouse of past accomplishments he used for fuel, was full of moldy cookies, stale victories he couldn't relate to anymore. He had to empty it and start fresh. This brings us to a crucial point: the 1-second decision. He describes his second hell week, freezing in the Pacific Ocean, almost quitting. In that split second, your body and mind want to protect you, tell you to get out. But what separates a true savage from everyone else is the ability to regain control of your mind in that second, despite everything still being messed up. It's about mentally taking a knee, taking a breath, flashing to your future if you quit, and deciding to bring the fight. Life, like Hell Week, is built on seconds you must win repeatedly. He also talks about false summits, like climbing a mountain. You think you're at the top, only to see more climbing ahead. In life, this happens when you think you've nailed something, only for it to get torn apart, or you hit what seems like the last set in a workout, only to find there's more. He says, we have to learn to stop looking for a sign that the hard time will end. The struggle is the whole journey. That's why you're out there. But what if you're really stuck, like trapped in your own mental prison? He suggests a hard stop. His mother's story of being owned by his abusive father for years illustrates how gradual abuse can be, stripping away self-worth. Sometimes you need to arrest that slide before you hit rock bottom. And here's the surprising part: he says anger can be a powerful tool for this. Not irrational rage, but controlled anger that wakes you up and makes you realize what happened wasn't right. It helps you scratch and claw at those walls until they tumble down. He embraces breakdown and welcomes scarring because there's no transformation without breakdown. And there's always another evolution. Scars are proof the past is real, but you have to work to strengthen those mental and emotional scars. The cornerstone of his transformation, he reveals, was his grandfather, Sergeant Jack. He became Kage's Mr. Miyagi, teaching him discipline. When Kage and his mother escaped his abusive father, they went to live with his grandparents. Sergeant Jack gave them no sympathy, just a daily task list that started at 5:30 am, mowing lawns manually, raking leaves, pulling weeds on hands and knees until his skin bled. This taught Kage to take pride in a job well done, no matter how small or overlooked. Sergeant Jack didn't care about feelings; the work needed to get done. Kage calls discipline the skeleton key that can get you past all the gatekeepers and into each and every room you wish to enter. It's the great equalizer that erases disadvantages. He warns against pity being a toxic bond. Feeling sorry for yourself, he argues, saps self-esteem and inner strength, and prevents progress. He talks about being a minute hoarder, maximizing every minute, getting up earlier, making progress towards your dreams, and this ties into trained humility. He shares the incredible story of Master Sergeant William Crawford, a quiet janitor at the Air Force Academy who was a Medal of Honor recipient from Wee Wee. Oblivious to the hype, Goggins says he constantly mops the floor of life, staying humble, because there is no grit at the top, no tests of resolve in steak dinners, 5-star hotels, or spa treatments. You have to free fall back to the bottom to keep learning and growing. He also uses the analogy of the pool's shallow end versus the deep end. Most people stay in their comfort zone, the shallow end of life, because they fear the unknown. But the shallow end should be a training ground, not a lazy boy. You have to commit to venturing into deep water to learn what you're truly capable of. And what about those inevitable screw-ups? He recounts getting lost by over 15 miles during the Moab 240-mile race because he let his pacer navigate and didn't check the jeeps himself. This reinforced the importance of situational awareness or acute perception, 360-degree comprehension, and projection of your future status. He says you can't rely solely on others to lead you. You need to keep your own jeeps on and spot check others, especially if your brain is craving a break. When things go wrong, he says, roger that. It's not just order received, but received. Order given, expect results. It bypasses overthinking and stimulates action. He advocates for setting unreasonable goals. When his knee was completely messed up after surgery and doctors told him he might never run again, He signed up for a 444-mile bike race, even if he couldn't achieve it. The goal itself kept him focused and turned discomfort into nutrients for growth. He believes in staying net positive. If your day is messed up, do something positive before bed, even if it's just cleaning the house. To go to bed in the black. He also lives by the principle that everything is training. Every challenge, every interaction, every task is an opportunity to get better at the game of life itself. Even his complex knee rehab became training for him, forcing him to find his new 100%. Instead of giving into limitations, he committed to maximizing what he could still do. Finally, he talks about greatness. It's not just for the Steph Currys or Amelia Earharts. It's possible for anyone willing to scavenge every last bit of strength and energy and excel at whatever they set their mind to. He illustrates this with Captain Joseph Kittinger, who jumped from the edge of space in 1960. Pushing human limits. Goggins says identity is a trap that limits us. Society and our upbringing often box us in, telling us what our kind doesn't do, that there has to be someone who breaks the mold. An outlier who shows what's possible. He became a smoke jumper at 47, even when doctors said his leg couldn't handle parachute landings. He didn't quit because failure had long since been neutralized. For him, falling short isn't failure, it's simply his first, second, third, or 10th attempt. So what does this mean for you and me, not being elite athletes or former Navy SEALs? Well, it's about looking at your everyday life, that boring job, that tough class, that difficult relationship, and seeing it as training. It's about finding that blue to black line, that glimmer of greatness within your own soul, and constantly pushing beyond it. It's about taking ownership of your life, not waiting for apologies or pity. It's about turning every negative into fuel, not letting it drain you. But how do you find the motivation to keep going when you're completely drained? Goggins would tell you that it's not about motivation, it's about discipline. When your inner voice is telling you to quit, you apply the 1-second decision, you take a knee. You breathe and you make the conscious choice to fight. You become a disciple of discipline. He says that discipline is the only thing capable of altering your DNA. It's about setting that oath to self, your own personal creed that defines who you are striving to become. Like his I live with the day one week one mentality. This mentality is rooted in self-discipline, personal accountability, and humility. While most people stop when they're tired, I stop when I am done. In a world where mediocrity is often the standard, my life's mission is to become uncommon amongst the uncommon. This book is less about specific steps and more about a complete mindset overhaul. It's about embracing the suck, finding beauty in the grind, and understanding that the journey of self-mastery is truly never finished. If you feel like you're stuck, living below your potential, or just need a serious kick in the ass to redefine what's possible for yourself, this is the book for you. It won't make you feel good and fluffy, but it will make you feel powerful. It will make you realize that the limits you perceive are mostly in your mind. And with relentless effort and unwavering belief, you can truly become uncommon amongst the uncommon. So, are you ready to get after it?